It's 5 o'clock, so we're going to open the Rules and Legislative Committee. Everyone here is except Ed Castle. It was our heads. Our Father, who art the hope of all the earth, remember us in love and guide us by thy wisdom. We ask thee to grant blessings upon thy servants, our community leaders, our county mayor, commissioners, city mayor, and councilmen. Bless us with the spirit of wisdom, goodness, and truth. May law and order, justice, and peace prevail. Defend our liberties, preserve our unity. In honor of thy holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the first item is approval of the July 19th, 2022 Rules and Legislative Committee minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The next item is consideration of placing the August 9th, 2022 Commission minutes on the September 13th, 2022 County Commission meeting agenda.
Move to place those on the agenda without a recommendation.
Second.
For those of the new commissioners that don't know why we place them on there without a recommendation is because we don't have the minutes to read yet, so we can't recommend them.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The next item is consideration of placing the notary applicants on the September 13th, 2022 County Commission agenda as requested by County Clerk Donna Thomas.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Veterans report was in the packet. There were 56 veterans that were transported and 35 veterans that came by the office in July. Any questions? Motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The clinic report is included as well. They're serving about the same number. It's down a little bit. It's just 68 on the medical side. And on the dental side, I think it was like 29 served. So they're going to provide a valuable service for our community. That's for our own information only. The Ag Board,
Well, we weren't able to have a meeting because COVID, as y'all know, is kind of back a little bit. So I had 2 board members that had COVID and 2 had been in close contact with those 2 members, so I couldn't get a quorum. And that's just the reality of where we live anymore. So that was the only reason we didn't have the meeting was because of that. And I think a couple of them were sick, nothing major, everybody's fine, but that is what happened this month to us, and we just couldn't have a quorum.
Okay. No items of old business. New business is the County Powers Act resolution. I saw it in the package, but I hadn't seen it before now.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we've had several conversations over the past year and a half about regulations for nuisance and for sound and light, and animals and all that. And so I think we had talked about how we could address that. And I think we kind of put the cart before the horse because as municipalities have different authorities than counties do. So after doing some research, Mr. White and I looked at this, we found that in order to even start the conversation on nuisance resolutions or anything, and we're going to call them nuisance for just a broad term in there, we have to pass this act here, or this resolution. Now, this basically gives us the power to begin the conversation. We do not adopt anything by doing this other than we can now have the conversation about how we want to go forward. But it requires a 2/3 vote of the full commission to adopt this Powers Act. Then we can come up with some ideas and concepts which come back to the committee, which then comes back to the full commission. That all this does, Mr. Chairman, is to start the ball rolling. If the committee wants to study a little more, if you want to talk about it a little more, we can do that. This is just a first pass at where we want to go. So it does not do anything other than just allows us to start a conversation on there.
basically it's generated by you and Chris White.
Correct.
Has anybody else had any input with it? I mean, it's gone through council, has John T. looked at it or reviewed it?
No. We have
Okay,
not.
I'd like for him to look at it
That's fine.
and,
That's fine.
I do too, because there's a lot, I read through that twice, and there's a lot going on in there, it seems like. And I'd like to get some other legal opinion about it, and since he's our county attorney, I'd like for him to review it, if he looks at everything in order, then I'd say we're good to
I
go,
think
but,
that's a fine suggestion.
yeah, so I, you know,
I can ask Mr. White a question. This would be something where we've had the noise issues that we've had, like one night the man was in here, that would give maybe the sheriff a little more, or however we had to handle it with people at 3 o'clock in the morning playing loud music and the things we've discussed in here before.
Correct. This is not to be confused with County Powers Relief Act,
Okay?
which is what the county had to pass in order to, years ago, when you guys passed the school facilities tax. You had to pass the County Power Relief Act to be able to do that.
Okay.
This is the same thing, like if you want to, if the county wants to have some of the same powers, municipal powers that the city would have for nuisance ordinances and things like that, we have to first pass this. And actually, the first time it came across my desk was actually from the mayor's office. We got an email from somebody, it was one of the state representatives, not
I
our
think
state
CTAS. I think CTAS.
CTAS, that's right. And they were saying that the bill sponsor that sponsored it was going around trying to poll the different counties to see how many counties had actually passed it once it had gone into effect, trying to see the success of it and how many people were actually taking advantage of the new powers. And so that actually, the number was quite low, you know, considering the fact that a lot of counties wanted this kind of power. And so, so that, we were just talking about, Mayor and I were talking about, and just not too long after that, Anita and I talked about the same thing, and then I talked to Greg about it as well, and just, they let them know if we want to have any nuisance powers, we're gonna have to pass this first.
But this does not in any way create any type of ordinance. It only allows us to begin the conversation if the commission wants to do that, because we have to have a 2/3 vote. And so that's why I think the chairman's suggestion that the county attorney take a look at it, make sure we're doing everything we need to do here before we even go any further.
I'd also like the sheriff's input on it too, just for what he thinks about this, you know, his input as well as possible, which I know we got a lot of time to do it, but just what your thoughts are.
I just got it.
What your thoughts are that this helping?
It's gonna be deferred for a while.
We're gonna defer it, so we'll have plenty of time.
You'll have a chance to look at it.
We'll send you a copy and let you get.
I just want you in the loop on it, is what I'm saying.
I'll wait, no.
Is that gonna include animal control as well with barking dog nuisances?
This doesn't do anything except says now we can start talking about issues
Right.
like that. We could, in the past, we could talk about it, but we couldn't pass any type of nuisance. And that's a broad term, nuisance I'm using here. It could be barking dogs, it could be lights, it could be, you know, if my haircut we don't like there. So whatever we want to call a nuisance, we can gauge that, but it only gets us to the starting point.
If I could say something, I think what that would do is set a structure in place then that you could act on, where now currently, in layman's terms, they kind of say that we don't really have a structure for you to
Right.
set an ordinance or a nuisance or whatever you would want to do. If the state law doesn't clearly
Right.
give us the power to do it, it puts us in no man's land as to whether you can or you can't. But that this would bring a framework into the county government structure that if you chose to exercise a component of it through a nuisance or what have you, that you would then have the legal structure. And we'll get John T. to make sure that, but that's what I was hearing CTAS say about it.
Okay.
And that's why we pushed it on just to planning, because we know they get those calls all the time about, well, I want to not be able to have noise after 10 o'clock or something's loud or somebody's shooting or whatever. So from the sheriff's side of it, I think if you passed it, I guess what they were probably trying to ask you when you walked in was, would that help your officers have
Absolutely, that's what.
more
That's exactly
teeth
what I was trying to say.
if they knock on the door and say, hey,
Right.
look, turn it off, or when we come
Right.
back, we're
Right.
going to write you a citation or whatever.
Correct.
So that's what I think he was saying, but it's early on as to what it would be.
And one thing that I would hope we could incorporate is open burning. We get a lot of calls from where these tree services go and dump on the piece of property that I've leased to them, and then it's smoking up the whole neighborhood, and there's nothing we do. I mean, as long as they've got the cloud around and these people are getting tired retirements. We got one lady that's 5 times a week. She's complaining, nothing we do. Chris and I talked about it.
I think the chairman's suggestion,
So
so
at least open that door where we can start.
we're gonna send this to legal, we're gonna send it to the sheriff, we'll send it to the fire chief right here. Look at it, see if you have comments on there, and then we'll decide if we wanna go forward. And then after we decide by 2/3, then we can come back
Okay.
and we'll have a discussion. We may decide to do nothing on it. I mean, we may not can do anything, but at least this gives us the opportunity to start. So we'll defer for 30, that's
That's what I.
30 days
I'd
deferral
like
on
for
this.
our legal counsel.
Okay.
And you want legal to weigh in on it? Do you want an opinion or something from them about it? Is that what I'm
Yeah, I just
asking
want to
you?
read over
Yeah.
it, I don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see each county attorney have some input from me.
So we'll defer for 30 days with your permission.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yes, deferred. The next is, under other bids, we've got, of course, the newly elected commissioners are generally placed in August. And Mayor Ray said there's two things to consider, and we need to understand this, and I'll try to explain, the way it's explained to me several years ago. First of all, the conflict of interest needs to be considered. An example of that would be law enforcement. If you're a sheriff's deputy, then they might not need to serve on the law enforcement, because most everything that comes up in law enforcement is going to be a conflict of interest. So that'd be one of them. The second one was, it had to do with commissioners from the same district serving on the same committee. He said they need to try to be separated. I don't know if it's always been true or not, but it's probably a good thing to follow. Of course, in the budget and finance is 7, but some of those other committees, there's not but 2 and 5, and you've got 2 sitting on the committee, then they can pretty much dictate what's going on. So he always tried to split the commissioners from the same district, having them serve on separate committees, and they were placed. I know when one kid came in 02, there wasn't any request. They didn't say anything. They placed you. Bill, when you came in, what happened to you?
I was placed.
That's right. What happened to you?
St. Jude was placed.
It was placed. If you think back, the way it's been done in historical, they've been placed. It takes the politics out of it. There's no favoritism. You can't come in and there's one position open, and you got 2 or 3 newly elected people wanting it. You're opening a can of worms there that's never been opened before, that I recall. They've always been placed, and that's, in my opinion, the reason why. Now, Eugene Ray never explained totally that. He just sort of said that. In fact, he grinned at me when I asked how I was placed for a few months, but that's how it is. That's how it's been the whole time I've been on there. As Commissioner Castleman's been on there 12 years under Eugene, and then he served 12 under my leadership, but he's not here to comment. So we'll go on. So we need to understand it. So this is the way it's going to start now. In January is when there's movement, and it's always when you're appointed last January, you're appointed for a full term to this January. It goes from January to January, the appointments do. And after that's done, then they'll elect a chair on each committee and a vice chair or assistant chair. And that's the way it's been done for 20-something years that I've done that. So that's as far back as I go. So on the courthouse and property, John Boutwell, Scott Johnson, and Troy Thompson will serve on courthouse and property. Budget and finance, Diane Neely. Law enforcement, Jason Boyette and Eric Maddox. And on rules and legislative, Drew Hooker. And that's the 7th place. And in January, if you don't like your position, you talk to any other commissioners, and then that's when the movement takes place. In fact, the only one I recall, 20 years, is Commissioner Anderson. You moved last January, didn't you?
I did.
And how did that happen?
Commissioner Jason Sanders asked me if I would be willing to move. And I said, sure. We moved.
Okay, and it was not a problem with the commission.
Nope.
So that's how that'll take place again in January. Okay, yes.
So once you place them, then they have to agree in order to be moved?
Well, they stay there until January.
I know, but come January, if I submit a request in December, I wanna go to a different committee, and just say I wanna swap you, Bill, just for instance.
You and I have to come to an agreement and the
We
commission
have
has
to
to
come to
approve.
agreement or it ain't gonna happen, right?
Yep,
That's right.
correct.
So
That's right.
these are permanent appointments, not
Yeah.
temporary.
Well, it's till the end, it's to the end of the term.
Well, the end of the term in January goes to the full commission.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows on it in January.
Yeah, but you just got to be saying that I have to agree to swap in order for that to happen.
Well, that's the way it normally does. I guess if you want to play Powerball, Mark,
No,
and you want to get, you know,
no,
you
I'm
want to
just
get a
saying,
bunch
I'm
of
just asking a
commissioners,
question.
and I guess you can.
No, I'm just asking
But
a
that's
question.
normally what's happened. That's what
I may
happened.
be right
the
where
last
I'm at.
time.
I'm just asking for these others.
I don't have the bylaws with me.
I do.
But, I believe in the bylaws, it's seniority. But he's fixing to read it, but, on the request to move or to whatever, seniority comes into play on it, if Greg can find that.
I think that's right.
So, I guess what I'm saying, they're permanent till January, but then seniority could,
Yeah,
In my
if you,
opinion,
I think so too.
Right.
We're getting into some weeks we haven't been into, but if you got 10 votes, you probably can, yes. Yes, you can probably dictate what you want to do.
I'd like for Greg to, yeah, I'm sorry, Greg, I don't remember which section it's in. It's under voting, I think, or committee, it's probably under committees, that toward the back.
This is it.
Hey, is any other announcements? I know that, we're meeting a week earlier than we have been, but the Celebration City Car Club is still meeting the last Friday of every month. I think it's not this Friday, but the next Friday, I think it's August 26th. They, are right here on the square. I believe this morning there, was, I think there's gonna be a meeting at TCAT with chicken.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
Tenders and tea. Of course, it's in the middle of the day, it's at 11:30, but it's lunch out there. There's gonna be a number of corporations and businesses and other dignitaries in there. I think Shane Hooper,
Yeah, sent out.
text that out. So if you can, you wanna go to lunch, it's at the TCAT, Center, it's on Madison Street. It's,
You need to reserve.
that's right, you should, RSVP, you sure do. You need to call if you plan on attending.
Shane Hooper's office.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Rule 6E, standing committee membership. All standing committee meetings shall be open to the Board of Commissioners' membership. All standing committees of the Board of Commissioners shall be elected annually by a majority of the Board of Commissioners at the January term of the Board. The Rules of Legislative Committee, acting as a nominating committee, shall submit nominations for the standing committee positions to the Board of Commissioners based partially on seniority and individual preference. Only duly elected members of the committee in session may be recognized by the chairperson. However, non-members of the committee, when recognized by the chairperson, may appear before the committee. Chairpersons of standing committees have the same voice as those of the committee, members of such committee. So, to me, it says that if this is an interim appointment, that you just said, but when it gets to January, then Mark and I have to agree to a swap, and if I don't agree to it, then you're where you are, so this makes this more permanent than it does interim. I'm raising the question out here, Mike.
I'm saying that certainly if you want to do it just on your own, and you got the votes, then I'd say you could. But this hadn't happened much, but I'd say it could, yes. So,
Make a motion to approve what you clearly stated there until January, that's how we place the committee.
okay, well, it's just until the end of the year.
Does
That's
this
right.
go to the commission?
No.
We'll do it in January then.
I don't think the committee can act on behalf of the commission.
We've always done it this way.
We'll check it out.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, passes.
I have some questions.
Okay, yes,
So it says that you nominate them.
That's right.
So
yeah,
then
we placed them.
I would,
You
well, it
place
says nominate on there, and then I would assume, does it not,
That
does
would
it
be
say
in
after you
January.
nominate, then we vote? And that's for the January one.
That's
It's got
January
authority,
first,
doesn't
January,
say
not
about-
tonight.
No, they're always been placed coming out of the elections.
It's got authority of committees after that. You know,
I think what the chairman is saying is that the placement, I'm not putting words in your mouth, the placement is from here until they organize in January.
yes.
That they're placed. I don't think that's a problem. But in January, the problem ensues when they're already temporarily placed, but they're really permanently placed. And that's my concern that I have, that if we put.
You can always move them. They can move anybody, but you open a can of worms
It
there.
doesn't seem like it would be permanent though, because if the commission's got to vote on it for January, then you can vote against it. Right, because everybody votes in January.
This is just stating it will be that way until January. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
right. That's the way it is. That's the way it's always been done.
It's going to the commission. I'll double check.
Okay, any other announcements? I think, we'll have, the newly elected commissioners, White Birch's gonna swear in, is that, 31st? Is it here? I believe that's on
It is here.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
The 31st at, was it 3 p.m.?
Yeah.
So if you wanna get sworn in early, you can come there. If you wanna wait until the next commission meeting, John T will swear you in before the meeting
Hey,
starts.
I want to get on the record before
Okay.
this committee closes. I don't think the committee can act independent without the commission, but we'll clear that up with CTAS and legal. But I believe that your recommendation can go to the commission for a vote up or down, but I don't think you can act without the commission. The committees don't have that authority, including the finance committee, cannot act independent of the commission. And I don't know about the word place, I didn't see that in the rule. So, if anything, probably the chairman of the commission has probably put recommendations forward in the past, which I'm not.
No,
I don't
they
want to
haven't.
do.
It's always been this body that's done it in the past.
Refer to Mayor Ray.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I told you what he said.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They refer to Mayor
Well,
Ray.
that's when he was on the Rosen legislature. That's not when he was county manager.
Yeah, we'll
This
get
is
it. I
when
just
he
don't
was
think the
chairman
committee,
of the roads.
I just want to be
Then
clear, I
said
don't think the committee can act independent of the commission. You are a body, you're making recommendations to them, just like the finance committee makes recommendations to the commission.
I know it's where it's always
They
been,
can't
so
act
I'm
independent.
trying to follow
Absolutely,
history and tradition.
absolutely.
And that's where it's absolutely always been. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Mike?
Can I change subject?
Yeah, yes, sir. We want to hear about the veterans.
Yes, sir. Last Wednesday, if everyone knows, the president signed the new PACT Act. And with this is going to open the door to hundreds of more veterans in our county and thousands within the 5-county area. This is a landmark thing. It's a $300 billion system in which the VA is going to be overwhelmed and swamped. Thank you for your support, Mayor, on what you did downstairs and all the things that are going to go along with it. Just want to pass that along. So we're going to see a lot more people in the office and take a lot more to the VA hospital in the next couple of months. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Motion adjourned.
Okay, so moved.
law enforcement committee to order, and we do have a quorum, noting that Jason Sanders and Commissioner John Brown are absent. And Gil Bay et al. Most for our most gracious, kind of, we thank you for this day, we thank you for the many blessings in life. Father, we just ask that you go with us and lead us and guide us and direct us in everything that we do. Father, I want to give thanks to our veterans and our public safety people who sacrifice their time and their lives to provide the very freedom that we enjoy each day. Father, just once again, I thank you for your Son, Jesus. In Christ's name I pray. Okay, at this time, we need a motion to approve the July 19th, 2022 law enforcement committee.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All passed. Next, the animal control report, which is included in the package.
Yes, I don't have anything to add to the report, however, we are having another very large spay and neuter day this Friday, preparing for August 27th, which is not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. It's our Clear the Shelter event. Hill Science Diet has joined partners with us. The first week in August, anybody who got onto a link that they provided, they matched 100%. So if we received $1,000, they matched it $1,000. I don't have those numbers yet. Gonna get with, she's gonna come down and visit me, the Times Gazette. I'm gonna get it put on the community calendar. The community calendar, we have a lot of people coming and donating their time to that. I believe we've got Bell Local Country Kitchens, Middle Tennessee Spay and Neuter Clinic, PetSmart, coming down to the facility. At that time, all adoption fees will be waived due to us partnering with Hill Science Diet. And then they will then in turn pay the adoption fees for the animals. They do have a couple of requirements, and those will all be met, as we also have the 4-H, like more junior seniors coming in to help multitask and get that nailed down.
Any questions for control? Thank you. Next will be EMA report.
I don't have anything added to the report, just to say we're getting ready for the horse show coming up, working with public safety folks and Celebration too. So we're looking forward to that. It's next week starts, so we're just moving along, getting it done. Do you have any questions?
Hearing none, thank you. Next will be juvenile detention report. And she's not here, but you do have a copy of the report in your package. Next is probation.
He let me know he wasn't feeling well, he wasn't here tonight, but I think he submitted
His report's in here as well. Next will be the sheriff's report.
Okay, well, we've got, once again, right at 2,000 miles a day that our officers patrol, 750 warrants served, 115 arrests, 398 processed through the jail. We just hired 3 new deputies. Every one of them are certified. I've never in my career had that happen before. I'm not sure the city police department is real happy with that. But it's not like I went out and recruited them. They came to us.
Don't speak through the city, Sheriff.
One is, and the other one was actually a state trooper up till about a year ago, and he thought he would try the private sector, and he decided he wanted to get back into law enforcement. So we were very blessed there. I have not received the drug task force report, so obviously I can't provide it. But with the report on the docket for the month of July, there was 1,369. And occupants in the month of July, 2,561. So that was pretty busy once again down there. That's all right.
Any further questions for the sheriff?
I would like to say thank you to Zoe for coming to our MRT, writing a nice article, visiting the ladies. Nicely done. Thank you. Great program. So, thank you.
All right, now we need a motion to approve the reports as presented.
I make that motion.
Motion is second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And, any other information reports coming forward today? Old business? Any new business? Any announcements?
Motion.
Yeah, we got the, yeah, I think you just said that. Yeah, It's made mention of it, that it starts the 24th, and the first Wednesday night, normally is a charity night, the celebration is partnered with them, and it's becoming a celebration show. It's the first night, the big kickoff, and I can ever remember is a celebration kicking off on the news.
Also, if you have a ribbon, make sure you put it up. We need to welcome all our visitors. Social media going across like nobody cares. Let's see what we can do. 2,500 horses.
2,500 horses. Ticket sales are looking real good, they say, and everything's looks to be on the uptake out there. So, and if you've not been out there and seen the new gate, the BFW, check out the David Howard gate there. It's something to say it's beautiful. It's very nice.
And I think Biff mentioned it, but the swearing in, if you want to do the formal swearing in, the 31st, 3 o'clock. So if you don't want to come or if you've got a conflict, can't be there, you can be sworn in the night of the commission. But before you sit, so to speak, the night of the commission, we've got to get you sworn in. The county attorney will do it if you're not able to. I know some of the ones that are coming back may have a conflict, but for your first timers, you may want to actually come to the formal, you can picture of any family, do those things.
Anything else to come before the committee? Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I guess I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'm the only one here. Commissioner Sweeney had called me and told me she wouldn't be able to be here, but I didn't know the others would. But anyway, so we don't have a quorum, but we'll go ahead and proceed. The first thing on the agenda, of course, is the approval of courthouse and property committee minutes, and we'll defer that until next month when we'll quorum. Fire department, Mark?
You have a copy of my report, unless you have any other questions, and I will let you know that we have moved our administration offices to the business complex, and that went very smooth. I IT department had everything ready for us to go. We never missed a beat, I don't think, did we, Judge?
No, sir.
And so far, has everything been good since you've moved? I mean, has
Yeah,
it been
it's,
beneficial?
I can't find nothing, but that's okay. I'll fix it.
You will in a month or two. Okay. What about trucks? Is all your trucks still running?
Yeah, I mean, we have our own, which are
Better than it was?
I will tell you this, that, without calling any names, we had a mechanic that worked on a lot of our equipment that has closed his shop down and he's going to work for somebody else, so that's going to kind of hamper us. Because he was real good to us and fair, I feel like, and so we'll have to, I mean, we do a lot of leaf springs, brakes, stuff like that. When you get into the electronics side of it, you have to have somebody with computer software, and the computer alone is $6,000, and the software upgrades are just astronomical every year, so we would do a venture into that. And sometimes when you get into the software on a vehicle, you can push the wrong button and let that vehicle go faster or not at all, so we kind of stayed out of that field. And I will say that we have lost 2 more firemen. One choosing a different career and another one choosing another department. So they were both veteran firemen. So I think we started the application process today with Shannon. We'll be hiring full-time and part-time. This year we were allowed to have part-time people. So we're trying to be moving toward that.
Does anybody in the audience have a question? Might as well open it up. Okay. Planning and zoning, Chris.
We get my report, but I guess the main thing is, I don't really have a lot to add to it, but looked like it was introduced Amy Peterson. She's your new coach director.
I've heard good things about her.
But anyway, we were a month behind because of the move on the report, so you should have 2 reports from me. But I went ahead and put a lot of information that normally she will be reporting in the future. So there would have been a lot of cross-pollination just doing 2 reports if we could.
That's what I was gonna say, is there gonna be one for codes and one for zoning?
There will be. There was one thing that I left out of there, which would have been the number of building inspections, and so I can let her talk to you about building inspections. She has her numbers with her, but for the purpose of that, just, I think we talked about that this afternoon, and so you guys can get an accurate picture of what they're still doing, regardless of whether things may be about to level off or so, we're not seeing it. And of course, even if we had to slow down, the codes department will continue on still with a lot of work that's left behind residually, because there's a lot of different inspections for every single permit that's issued. So even if we were to slow down a little bit of permits, which we haven't, if we were to do that, the show must go on her side. So, but anyway, she has those numbers, and I'll let her pick up from there.
I just want to add on inspections, from the same period last year, we were doing 143 inspections in July, and this past July we did 239 inspections. So that's a reflection of continued growth in Illinois for sure. With the split, we also suffered the move like the Frenchies did. So we're still finding things, but I took with me a newly hired inspector. His training's going well, and we also recently added a front desk position. She'll start next week.
Awesome. Wonderful.
I'd like to ask Amy to include that in, along with Chris's report, just attach it to it. What's nice is if we have like the last 5 years total, and each month as we come through, kind of like Diane does with solid waste, gives us an idea of
Something
really how much it's been impacted. I think it's surprising. Not surprising.
Well, welcome, we're glad to have you. Does anybody have any questions for them before I move on? Okay. Let's go to IT.
So we hired a new employee in our department. Her name is Christy Tuck. She's a graduate of the ITIN program at TPAC Shelbyville. We have two relatively new employees that we've taken on in the past 3 months. One of them took our network security position, the other one the help desk analyst position. I feel good about retaining these employees, especially in light of the recent changes that have been made to the pay. So I haven't had an opportunity to thank the commission. I'd like to personally thank you all for investing in us. We'll make sure that we see a large return in your investment. I can guarantee that. We're excited about Ms. Tuck. She is a lifelong resident of Normandy, so she's a local resident here. She's a former volunteer firefighter in Coffee County, and she's really excited about the position. We also hired Andrew Vanderpool. He is formerly of the Air Force, and he's a veteran, and he's taking on our network security. And he's undergoing a comprehensive security review of our policies for our systems, and he's collaborating with MSISAC. They're an organization that's dedicated to network security for governments, small and large. So we have a lot of changes taking place. A lot of the growth and the different offices that have moved locations have helped us to tidy up some situations where we might need a better connection. So that's made some improvements for us as well. We're glad to have neighbors next door in the fire department. So things are going well for us.
Sounds like staffing for the most part, system-wide, is much better, so that's except for
Josh, we can always fuss on Chris to make sure that he brings in enough money to pay for his department. And yours is a little bit unique in that you're doing it for us. But I just wonder how much would it cost if we hired out the private sector to do all of that? And I'm not asking you to do it, but just, it'd be nice one time if you could say, you know, we've saved the county $2 million this year or something like that. Because of all you do.
He's given us numbers like that before.
Yeah, just every now and then update us.
I can
Maybe
give you
at the end of each year or each something.
No problem.
Because it's, what they do, Julie, is just phenomenal.
Oh, I know it is. But he's given us numbers before.
I just don't remember
Yeah.
them.
I'll give you some comprehensive updates.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, it always shows that y'all saved a lot of money, especially repurposing, you know, other technology that's come from other departments, and I know they do. So we appreciate what you do. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Josh? 911. Everybody has their report. I don't think there was anything major changes in there. I know there was in the back of the report is their financial expenditures and balances. GIS.
I apologize, my report wasn't in the packet. I had it done in time, but we had some cross wires and it didn't get where it was supposed to be. But not a whole lot to add to the written report. I'm talking to Shane Hooper about a map that he needs to look at some future projects. Have been working, on marketing for things like the license plate and the new industry, neither of which I was the primary person to put out those messages, but I was sort of helping facilitate or adding on or things like that. And then just the normal stuff of updating the taking photos, updating the county social media website,
Do you
and just the
probably
normal
don't know
stuff.
the answer to this, but do you know if they've gotten, you may know, Mark, the number, if they've got the minimum number for the River Life license plate yet?
I don't know what those numbers are.
It was,
Yeah, you had to reserve.
last week Beth said they had like 26 or something like that, when I asked her about it last
You
week.
have 1,000, don't you?
Yeah, we have to have 1,000. But we've got until next year, we have to have 1,000 by, it's got to be within 1 year. So we've got until next summer to get 1,000.
I shared it.
Right.
I'm I've actually signed up, so.
Now
There
you're
you
on
go.
26, thank you.
Yeah.
Mark and I did too.
Well, there you go, there's three of us.
Three.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for John? Thank you. Okay, and we'll defer approving the reports until we have a quorum next month. As far as old business, does anybody have any old business? I don't have any. I'm talking about. As far as new business, I do have one thing that I want some of the commissioners to be thinking about. I'm a little concerned with Commissioner Sweeney vacating his seat. It's been a valuable resource for us as a commission and saved us a lot of money on a lot of our construction projects. And one thing I think we need to be thinking about is if we want to do any type of consultation work, consultant work with either him or someone like him, because I know he has saved us thousands and probably millions of dollars in all of our projects to make sure that, they have not, exceeded the budget, or he's gone and, tried to do a little bit of talking to them to try to save us money here and there and getting money back for us and making sure that they've taken care of projects later on that were not, to make sure they were in full completion and we didn't go over, the budget. And I think he saved us a whole lot of money, and I think that's something we need to consider in the future. So y'all be thinking on that, and we'll revisit that later. Does anybody have any other new business? Any other commissioners? As far as announcements, I think we've covered that, so I guess we will adjourn. Y'all have a good night.